Namaskar. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. It's a delight to think about Lalitha Saharanamam at this juncture and think of Ambai Parashakti in the benign presence of Mahaswami. The Lalitha Saharanamam is a mantra. It's a treatise on the mantra. And to recap the Lalitha Saharanamam completely, to recap its glory in wholesomeness is something which is not humanly possible. The Sindhu and the Kamarupa ranges to the west, the Brahmaputra and the associated ranges to the east, the Ramasetu to the south, and the snow-clad Himalayas to the north, it is said, are not sufficient to capture the glory of Lalitha Saharanamam. It is customarily noted that wherever good individuals gather, wherever the minds are pure and enjoying the bliss of Parashakti, the glory of Lalitha Saharanamam can be enshrined in such a place. Now, what is this treatise on the 1,000 names of Ambai? The Lalitha Saharanamam finds place in the Lalito Upakyana. Upakyana means a story or a small story, and this is the story of Lalitha. And within the Lalitopakyana, which is found in the Brahmanda Purana, we find the 1,000 names of the Mother uttered. If we think of the Ramayana, Ramayana was sung by Valmiki, the Adikavi. If we think of the Mahabharata, it was sung by Vyasa. And who sang the Lalitha Saharanamam? $1 million question indeed. On the command of the mother, it is said, the Vak Devatas, the Devatas who are the guides of Sri Vidya, sang the glory of Ambai. Vachini and all her associated Devatas put together are called the Vak Devatas. So we say the Vachinyadi Devatas sang the Lalitha Saharanamam. And this treatise was given by Lord Hayagriva to sage Agastya. There are 1,000 names, divine names of the Mother. And if we go by an order, we find these divine names portend the 5 activities which take place in the cosmos, in the universe. What are these 5 activities? We are able to see 3 of them, and it's customary to label these 3 activities as the Muttore and assign a god, a godhead for each of these activities, and then say there are Trimurtis or Mumurtis. When a child is born, we are able to see a jiva is created. So that is creation or srishti. When the child grows up, or the individual grows up, the individual develops, the individual does so many of his or her activities, we say the God protects the individual, and this is protection or sthiti. And then when the individual dies, or even for that matter, any other being, a plant dies, or an animal, a dog dies, we say the individual or the animal or the plant is destroyed, and this is destruction or samhara. So we are able to see three of them. We are able to see creation, protection, and destruction. So we generally say there are three activities and then assign the three murtis to be responsible for these three activities. In truth, there are five of them, five such activities. If the three will have to take place, there has to be yet another activity which is called Tirodhanam or Tirobhava. What is Tirodhanam? It is concealment, it is hiddenness. Let us put it this way. My intellect tells me every individual will have to leave the world at some point of time. Everything is impermanent. It is not possible for this body to live forever. I know this. My knowledge knows this. My intellect knows this. But then every morning when I arise, I perform activities as though I would capture a fort, as though I would live forever. Why do I do that? If I do not do that, the Loka Vyapara or the cycle of activities which will have to happen in the world, the cycle of activities which will have to take mankind forward will not happen. So what has Amba done? She has thrown away, she has thrown a curtain on us, and this curtain is the Maya. So she has thrown the veil of Maya, and this activity of hers, wherein she hides, she conceals, is called Tirodhanam or Tirobhava. And then, above all these four activities, is what is called Anugraham or grace. She showers the grace. At some point of time, every soul will have to escape this cycle of birth and death and then merge with godliness. Now, at that point, Amba showers her grace and takes the soul to godliness. And this is called Anugraham. Keeping in mind all these five activities, we find a beautiful scheme in the Lalitha Saharanamam. The first nama, which is Sri Mata, talks about creation. The mother creates. So that is creation. The second nama says Sri Maharajni. Now who is Maharajni? The Empress. The Empress protects. What is the responsibility of a queen? A queen will have to protect all her citizens. So here, Jagannatha, who is the Maharajni, protects all her children. She protects all that is present in the universe, in the cosmos, mankind, animals, plants, and even those inanimate things. So she is the divine protector. The third nama is Sri Simhasaneshwari. Now, Simhasana will mean a throne. But then, Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that there are certain inherent customs which need to be followed. In certain places, the term that is given to us should be read from the reverse. In other words, instead of reading it as Simhasana, instead of saying it as Simha, we like to say that as Himsa. So while we chant we will say Simhasaneswari. But then we like to understand the Sima here will have to be understood as Himsa, and she is Himsaneshwari. Now, what is Himsaneshwari? What does that term mean? She does destruction. She is responsible for removing the souls from one place, probably putting them back into the cycle. However, that is destruction, and she does the destruction part of it too. So the first three namas will indicate creation, protection, and destruction. And then what happens after that? After the fourth nama, until the 999th nama, these are all namas which talk about her part of concealment. She does various activities. She makes us do several things, and all that is part of concealment or Tirudan. And then the 1000th nama, when we just utter Sri Lalitambika. Sri Lalitambika is where we ask for her grace, and that is Anugraha. So we find a beautiful scheme wherein these 1000 namas talk about the 5 kind of activities which Ambar does. The Dhyana Shloka of Lalitha Saharanamam starts describing Ambar's presence, her benign form. And what does it say? She is Sindhura Aruna Vigraha. She is of the reddish hue. She manifests herself in a form which has a red complexion. Aruna Vigraha. Vigraha is where her form is talked about. And she is in Aruna Rupa, in a reddish hue. Now this is a paradox. Whenever we think of Goddess Parvati, whom we also equate with Goddess Lalita, Parvati is dark hue. She has a dark blue complexion. Whenever we talk about Uma Haimavati, we talk about Malimavati, we talk about various manifestations and various expressions of Goddess. We tend to think she is blue complexion. She has a blue hue. And why is it now we're talking about a goddess, a manifestation, who has a reddish hue? Now Adi Shankara has an answer for this. He says, Ambar manifested herself for the sake of the world, for the welfare of the world, for the sake of protecting the world, and when she came out in that form, she was reddish in complexion. Jagat Tratu Karuna Ka Chit Aruna. Just for the sake of protecting the world with all her karunya, she emerged herself as one with a reddish hue. Ka Chit Aruna. And that is why she is in Aruna Swarupam, or in the form of Lalitambika. And it is again a matter of curiosity to know that 4 different manifestations of Ambar, the 4 manifestations being Lalitambika, Rajarajeshwari, Kamakshi, and Tripura Sundari, all these 4 manifestations are in reddish hue. In other words, these 4 manifestations are red complexion, while the rest of the manifestations are blue complexion. And Sri Mata, how does she manifest herself? So starting from the 4th nama, we find a description of Ambar. What does this description say? Let's consider the 4th and the 5th nama together. Chidakni Kunda Sambhuta. She comes out from the fire pot. Chidakni Kunda Sambhuta. Devakarya Samukhyata. And why has she come out? She has come out, she has manifested herself for the sake of fulfilling the Deva Karya. And what is Deva Karya? To understand this, we will have to go back probably into the Upakyana or go a little forward to some of those namas which talk about Ambal's fight, Ambal's battle with Bandasura. In the second part of the Lalita Sahasranamam, we find namas which describe the battle. Let us not go into the details of these namas and the battle, but then try and have a look at it in a glimpse. Bandasura was an asura. And how did he come out? Where did he come from? It's a curious fact that he came from the ashes of Manmatha. The story goes like this. Manmatha was burnt, we know that. And the ashes of Manmatha were all heaped at the gate step of Kailaya. In Kailasha, just at the threshold of Kailash, the ashes of Manmatha were all heaped. And the child in Kailash, who else can it be? Lord Vinayaka, was playing with these ashes. And what did the child do? The child picked up the ashes, made a beautiful doll out of the ashes, and then, gave hands and feet and face and all the different parts of the body to that doll. And then the child took the doll to the father. Vinayaka took the doll to Shiva and then asked Shiva to give life to that doll. Since the child asked him, the father also obliged. And then that doll came into life. As the doll emerged with life, all those around, all those Bhutaganas in Kailash started saying, Bhanda Bhanda, Bhanda Bhanda. Bhanda will mean be good or goodness be. So they said Bhanda Bhanda, and the child came to be called Bhanda or the good one. Slowly, this Bhanda did a lot of penance and obtained boons from Lord Shiva himself. And in those boons, he got extensive might. And immediately, his attitude changed. He thought might is right and started torturing people around, torturing creatures around. And so, he slowly became from Banda to Bandasura. Asura will mean the wrong element, and Banda, he was only a Banda, he slowly became Bandasura. And this Bandasura had taken a vow that he will not be killed by any other force than all the forces and energies of all Godheads put together. And these energies put together in a feminine form. So when he started torturing the Devas, the mankind, all the 14 worlds, Devendra started pleading to Lord Shiva that something should be done. And on the advice of Brihaspati and all the other seniors, Devendra resorted to penance on the slopes of Himalayas. And as he performed the yajna, and as he performed the yajna, from the fire pot of that yajna, emerged a beautiful golden plate, and seated on that golden plate was a 16-year-old damsel, and the plate emerged, the damsel came out, she jumped out of the plate, stood there, and as she stood there, so beautiful, Brahma, the creator, or the one responsible for creation, was at the same time joyous and sad. He was happy because he was joyous that Ambal had personified herself. He was a little sad because he has to find a suitable partner for this beautiful damsel. Where will he go? As Ambal looked at him, turned round and looked at Brahma, she realized what was running in his mind. She gave a beautiful smile, and there emerged the Almighty in a masculine form. This masculine form came to be called Kameshwara, and naturally, the feminine form that she was, she became Kameshwari. So Kameshwara and Kameshwari were married, and they were immediately transported to Sripuram, or the special city which was built for the sake of Lalitambika. She is Kameshwari, she is also Lalitambika. Now this Lalitambika came out from where? She came from the Yajna pot, and that is why the Nama says Chidatni Kunda Sambhuta, Agni Kunda Sambhuta. And then she came for the sake of fulfilling Devendra's work, Devakarya Samathyata. And then the subsequent Namas trying to describe her form, her manifestation, and how she described. Lalitha Sahasranamam. She has all the glory and all the brightness that 1,000 suns would have. Udyat, and then the suns here, the sun is not a midday sun, but then this sun is one who is just emerging out, the one who is rising. A rising sun would have a reddish hue. She already has a reddish hue. And then the equation is 1,000 rising suns, if put together, whatever kind of brightness would emerge, that brightness is being given out by Ambal herself, Udyat Sahasranamam. And after talking about the brightness, the Sahasranama tries to describe her. Let us have a look at this description, because this is what is important. As a learner of the Sahasranama, it is very essential that we know the inner intricacies of these namas. Chatutbahu Samanvita, Raga Swarupa Pashatya, Krodavakara Ankushojjvala, Mano Rupekshukodanda, Panchatanmatra Shayaka. Now, what does she have? She has Chatutbahu Samanvita. She has 4 arms, and then in these 4 arms, she has 4 different objects. She has a pasham. A pasham is a rope. Raga Swarupa Pashatya. She has a rope in one arm, and she has an ankusam. An ankusam is something that which can be used to cut. So she has Krodha Akara Angusojjvala. She holds a hook which can be a hook of hatred or a hook that can cut hatred. And then in the other 2 arms, in one she has a bowl of sugarcane, Rupa Ikshukodanda. And what is this Ikshukodanda? Mano Rupa Ikshukodanda. And in the other, she has 5 arrows. If she has a bow, to go along with the bow, she needs to have arrows, and then she has 5 arrows. Now this is what is the most important. Why does she have a rope? And why does she have a hook? Generally, a hook is the one with which someone controls the elephant. But then here we can think of a hook or a sharp instrument which can cut the rope. she has the rope on one side so that she can tie all of us, tie the jivas to her feet. At the same time, we should also remember that the jivas are tied to something else. We are tied so tightly to materialistic things. We want to do this, we want to do that, we want to ascend up the ladder, we want to accumulate wealth, we want to do so many things. And then, what is the motivation factor for all these things? Oh my child, oh my daughter, oh my son, oh my job, oh, I need to have all these facilities in my house and so many things. So all these are things which are tying us to the material world. So if we need to come out of this material world, she would have to use her Ankusha to cut all these ties and use her rope to tie us to her feet. So she is on one side cutting us from all these, from all the Laukika, and taking us to her feet, drawing us close to her feet and making us embrace her feet. And then she also has the bow and the arrows. What do these mean? The bow is a bow of sugarcane. If only you try and flex the sugarcane, it will break. But then the paradox is that this bow of sugarcane is the same as our mind. Mano Rupeshu. She has our manas. The very term Manushyan, or the very term human, has derived itself from the root word manas. One who has a manas is a man. And she has the manas in her hand. And on the other side, she has Pancha Tanmatras. Pancha Tanmatra Shatika. Now, what do these Pancha Tanmatras, or the 5 flowers, mean? She just appears to hold some 5 flowers. And these 5 flowers are not plain flowers. These are the Tanmatras. To understand the term Tanmatra, we will have to understand another term, Indriya. What is an Indriya? Indriya is the same as that of sense. Let's say this way, we talk about 5 senses. All human beings have 5 senses. We also have the 6th sense. Now forget the 6th sense for the time being. Let's concentrate on the 5 senses. What are these 5 senses? The eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and then the skin or the tactile sense. So we have 5 senses, and these 5 senses get information from the outside world. How do we learn something? How do we get knowledge? How do we get arivu? How do we get jnana? We learn. How do we learn? We look at something and then learn. We hear something and learn. We smell something and know about that particular object which smells sweet. And then we touch something and learn the qualities of temperature, the qualities of heat, the qualities of something being cold, and so on. So these 5 senses get us information, get us knowledge. That is why these 5 senses are called the Jnanendriyas. Indriyam is an instrument. There are 5 instruments which get us information. So we call these instruments the Jnanendriyas, or the 5 objects of knowledge, or the 5 instruments of knowledge. Fine. We have received inputs, we have received knowledge. But then what is the difference between Indriya and Tanmatra? Let's try to look at it with some example. I am looking at this object. Now this is an object, and as I look at this object, what would science tell me? The image of this object, due to various factors, falls on my retina and I'm able to perceive the object. I'm able to see, I'm able to behold, I'm able to look at the object. But then, try and look at that point. The image falls on my retina. Fine. The image has some dimensions. It has a length, it has a breadth, it probably has some thickness, it has color and all that. And I am perceiving this object. Maybe as I look at it, something inside happens, and that something inside is trying to equate. Fine, I've seen a similar object before. That also had similar length and breadth. So probably this particular object which I am looking at now is the same as that which I looked at before. Okay, fine, I know this is a paper. And I know something is typed on the paper. And I know with this paper, I'll be able to read. Right? What happens there? It is not the plain image. The image is fallen and something else is happening. Can we call it processing? So you receive the input and there is a central processing which is going on. There is some kind of a CPU activity which is going on. A processing happens, and at the end of the processing, I am able to perceive that there is a paper and the paper has something written on it. So between the reception of the image and the time of perception, something has gone on, something has happened. So what is this something? This is that something which is converting the indriya into a tanmatra. It is the eye which looks at something, but then there is something else inside which is trying to process the image which is being received and trying to recognize the image. If I had seen an object before, I might recognize this particular object. If I had not seen a similar object before, I would say, no, I have not seen this. This is not recognizable. So the processing ultimately decides what I perceive. I would have seen this object. I would go back, trace from my memory, try and equate and try and know more about it. So there is a difference between the plain indriya or the factor of indriya and the factor of tanmatra. Now Ambar is keeping the tanmatras in her hands. Are tanmatras. It is not the plain indriyas that she has, but then she has taken our tanmatras, which means she is guiding the way we look at things. She is guiding the way we hear things. Yet again, there is a small difference. To understand this better, we'll go into that difference also. Now, there is an object. I look at that object. You look at that object. And someone else who has the qualities of an artist looks at the same object. Now, try and find out the difference. When I look at it, okay, it is there. But then the artisan in what will that artist say? Oh, if I place it this way, I can see a peacock dancing. For me, it's a plain paper, but for him, if he only keeps the paper in a particular tilt, he would say, there is a peacock in it. No, there is a moon in it. And so many other things. So it is not the plain image, not the plain retinal image, but then the perception that matters. So it is this perception. We hear a sound. I hear a sound. I would only say it is a sound. But then the musician would say, no. This sound has a particular timbre. This sound has a particular pitch. This has a particular musical quality. So it is the tanmatra which is important, and Ambar decides the tanmatra. Now, putting all these together, why is she having these objects in her hands? If we try and draw a comparison, we will understand the ikshukodandam, or the bulb of sugarcane, and the 5 arrows of flowers are the same objects which Manmata or Cupid has. When Cupid uses them, he uses them in a way that we deviate from our root of natural justice. But then when Amba uses them, she makes us do the correct things. The difference is that when Cupid uses the same weaponry, he makes us go away, he makes us go astray, he makes us violate norms. But when Amba uses the same weaponry, she makes us do the correct thing. So she has taken all those weapons from Manmata and she is keeping them in her hands. And she is fighting Bandasura. The 1,000 names cannot just be explained in a matter of 10 minutes or 10 months or even 10 janmas. Kanchi Mahaswami had a lot of respect for the Lalita Sahasranamam. In fact, whenever he used to talk about Acharya Adi Shankara's Saundarya Lavani, Mahaswami used to refer to Lalita Sahasranamam. And then he would say, you always think of Shiva and Shakti together, not separate them. And that is what the Sahasranama is about. Now, going back to the story of Bandasura and trying to relate Sahasranama to Bandasura, we will find the battle between goddess Parashakti and Bandasura is also talked about in the Sahasranama. I would not go into those namas, but then try to look at it as a summary. Now you will find when the battle goes on, Bandasura sends his 30 sons to fight with the forces of Amba. And to fight with those 30 sons, 30 descendants of Bandasura, Parashakti sends her own daughter. The scene is this. The fight starts, the battle starts. We've already seen Amba as Kameshwari war in Sripura with Kameshwara. And then as they were in Sripura, probably Devendra once again went there and pleaded that Bandasura will have to be killed. So Amba decided to send her retinue. All her forces go towards Bandasura. Amba does not go right at the first instance, and Bandasura also does not come at the first instance. He sends his forces and Amba sends her forces. All her retinue members go towards Bandasura's capital. They fight there. And then what happens? All of them fall down. Surprising, isn't it? All Amba's retinue forces fall down. And then the minister, Mantri, and yet another lieutenant, Varahi, they come running towards Amba to tell Amba, Amma, all those forces have fallen down. On our side is so weak, they all have fallen down. And then Amba looks at them, gives a kind of motivation. She, with her divine grace, makes all those forces come back to life, and then the battle continues. And slowly, the forces of Bandasura dwindle, they fall down, they die. And then at this point, Bandasura starts sending his sons, 30 of them, 30. And to fight with these 30 sons, Amba calls her daughter. The daughter comes and stands there. The daughter is Bala. Bala or Balika, a small little girl, 5-year-old. And what does Amba do? She will clad this Bala in the war armor and then send Bala to fight. And the news comes that Bala is fighting with all her valor. And Parashakti is so happy when Mantrini and Varahi come back from the battlefront and informed that Bala is fighting with all her valor and she is victorious, Ambal is so happy, and the 74th Nama says, Banda Putra Vado Yukta Bala Vikrama Nandita. Bala Vikrama. Vikrama is valor, courage, and Ambal, hearing about the courage and the valor of Bala, was so happy, Nandita, Anandita. She was so happy to hear about the valor of Bala Tripura Sundari. And then the battle continues, the sons are dead, so Bandasura himself comes. Meanwhile, two of his brothers could also be killed by Varahi and Mantrini. And then he himself comes to the battlefront, and then he fights with Ambal directly. Ambal herself emerges at the battlefront, and there is a big fight, a big battle. A Ugra Yuddha goes on. And what happens? At the end, Banda tries to send a particular weapon, a particular astra. He sends out what is called the Moha Astra. And then Ambal takes out the Amoha Astra and defeats Bandasura, kills Bandasura, and the battle is won by her. This is the story of the Bandasura battle. And the subsequent Namas talk about all her glory and all her might. And in these Namas, we do find some Namas which talk about her specific glory. Of course, all the Namas talk about her glory, but then there are some specific Namas which we may look into. In the bunch of Namas that talk about Ambal's specific qualities, we find a bunch which talks about her subscribing to all the 5 activities that we looked upon. Srishtikartri, Brahmarupa, Goptri, Govindarupani, Samharini, Rudrarupa, Tirodhanagarishwari, Sadashiva Anugrahada, Panchakritya Parayana. Now, these 5 activities, Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhanam and Anugraham, which we have seen right at the beginning, are now being talked of. She is what? She is Srishtikatri. She is the creator. Because she is the creator, she is Brahmarupa. She only is Brahma. You think Brahma is the creator? No. All the energy of Brahma is given by her. And so, she is Brahmarupa. And who is she? She is also Goptri. She is the protector. And we generally say Mahavishnu or Govinda is the protector. Now, the Sahasranamam or the Vachinyadi Devatas say, she is Govinda Rupini. You think Govinda is the protector? No. In the form of Govinda, it is only Ambal Parashakti who is standing there. She is Goptri, she is Govinda Rupini, she is Rudra Rupa, she is Samharini. She is responsible for destruction. So, she is Rudra personified. And Tirodhanagarishwari, Tirodhanam, and she is the one who does Tirodhanam. She is Maheshwara. She is in the form of Maheshwara when she performs Tirodhanam. And then when she performs Anugraham, she is in the form of Sadashiva. Now, to give a short summary of what these names indicate, we've already talked about the 5 activities. And what has happened is, when Ambal decided to carry out these 5 activities, she made 5 people responsible for each of these activities. Now, if we can think of her as the highest person, the highest person does not do every activity himself or herself. So what has she done? She has sat on the throne and then she summoned 5 of them. And told them, you are responsible for each of this activity. So she called Brahma and said, come on Brahma, you take care of creation. And she called Mahavishnu and said, come on, you take care of protection. And she called Rudran and said, come on, you take care of destruction. And the person who is responsible for concealment or Tirodhana is called Maheshwara. And then the fifth who is responsible for grace or Anugraham is Sadashiva. And the Sahasranamam says, it is not 5 different people, but then Ambal who instills energy into all these 5. I would like to remind you of yet another Nama. Somewhere down the line, we do get Namas which talk about Ambal as Pancha Brahmasana and then Pancha Predasana. Now, what is Pancha Predam? Predam, we all know it's a lifeless body, a dead body. And what is the logic in calling Ambal Pancha Predasana? The idea is this. Whenever she instills energy into these 5, they are Pancha Brahmas. If she withdraws the energies, the same 5 become Pancha Predam. So she sits on all 5 of them. This is only a symbolic representation that she sits on 5 of them, instills energy, and sometimes when she does not want these activities to be done, she withdraws the same energy. So she is Pancha Predasana, she is also Pancha Brahmasana. So these are the 5 names which are given to the 5 people or the 5 godheads who are responsible to carry out the activities which Ambal has commanded. So ultimately, summarizing these 5, the Sahasranamam says, she is Pancha Kritya Parayana. She does all the 5. So she does the 5 Krityas. Activity is Krityam. So she does all the 5 activities and she is Pancha Kritya Parayana. She is attained and she is there above all these 5 activities. And I am reminded of a small little anecdote which Mahaswami would always relate to these 5 names. He used to give it like a particular incident which happened somewhere in one small little hamlet. Let's take it this way. Let's have a look at it this way. Ambal was seated on the Simhasana and she wanted to allocate these 5 jobs to 5 different godheads. So she called the first one. 5 of them were standing there and they have come into emergence all because of her grace. Right, 5 of them came and stood and said, Amma, we are here to do whatever you command. So she called the first one and asked that particular person, what is your name? He said, I am Brahma. Right, you take care of creation. And then she called the second one, what is your name? He said, I am Vishnu. Fine, you take care of protection. The third one came, what is your name? Rudra. Okay, you take care of destruction. And then she called the fourth one. The fourth one came and stood there and she asked him, what is your name? My name is Maheshwara. She was a little awestruck. Maheshwara, Ishvara itself will mean somebody who is the leader. And Maheshwara, the big leader or the great leader. Ambal did not like it. Who can be Ishvara? Who can be the leader? Who can be the captain? That's Shiva. Shiva, who is the omniscient or the omnipresent. Shiva, who is her Lord too. He only is the Lord. And this one, who is only responsible or in charge of a particular portfolio, cannot be the topmost. But she didn't like the name. Then she thought, what's in the name? Fine, let him have the name. He just wants to call himself Ishvara, Maheshwara, let him call. The real Ishvara is only the Almighty. He only wants to call himself by that name, let him call. She just left him and told him, fine, you are responsible for concealment. He went away. And the fifth person was coming in. Ambal was a little careful. she wanted to tell him, don't call yourself by the name Shiva. Shiva is the name. Shiva will mean auspicious. And the auspicious name can be given only to Almighty. So she wanted to tell the fifth person, don't call yourself Shiva. And as he came here, she said, you have any other name with you. You call yourself by any other name, but not by the name Shiva. And what happened? Now, to explain that, Mahaswami will give this anecdote. In a small little hamlet, somewhere on the banks of Kaveri, was a Mirasdar. Mirasdars were landlords, and they used to have a lot of people serving them in that area which they need to protect. So they were also called Pannayas, and they had big Pannais, and there were lots of servants in the Pannai. One day, this particular Mirasdar or this particular landlord was trying to recruit new servants for his Pannai. And there were new people, and one of them came and stood. This landlord asked him, what is your name? That man said, my name is Perumal. And the landlord did not like it because his own name was Perumal. How would he call a servant by his own name? He can't call him, Perumal, come here. So he told Perumal, the servant Perumal, please go back to your village. With the permission of your father and mother, please change your name. You come back after 2-3 days. I don't want you to call yourself Perumal because my own name is Perumal. So call yourself by some other name. But then take your parents' permission for that. Please go back. I will give you all that charge. You go back to your town. You check with your parents. Assign yourself a different name and come back. So the servant went away. After 2-3 days, the servant came back. And he came and met the landlord. The landlord asked him, have you changed your name? The servant said, yes, I've changed my name. And what is your name? The servant said, Pedda Perumal. You know what is the irony? He didn't want to call himself Perumal, but then what happened? Pedda Perumal, bigger Perumal. Similar to that, Mahaswami would say, Amba did not want the fifth person to have the name Shiva. So she told him, don't have the name Shiva, you can have any other name. And then the fifth person came and said, I don't have the name Shiva, I have a different name. And what's your name? Sada Shiva. Like how Pedda Perumal for the sake of Perumal. Here, the fifth one called himself Sada Shiva instead of calling himself Shiva. Then Ambal said, fine, doesn't matter, you have this name. So this is a small little anecdote which Mahaswami always used to say for these 5 names. And we find Amba is the one who instills energy into all the 5 Brahmas. There are also other namas in the Lalita Saharanamam which talk about Amba's extensive grace. And what is she? She is the one who can be seen by our internal eyes. There are names which talk about this. Brahma Kirta Janani. There is one nama which says Amba is Brahma Kirta Janani, which only says she is the universal mother. Brahma, we know these 5 are the Brahma. Brahma will relate to the Godhead. And what is a Kirta? Kirta is a small little worm. And she is the Janani, she is the mother of that worm, and she is the mother of Brahma, which only means she has no distinction. She is the universal mother, and she thinks of all her children, starting from the Kirtam to the Brahma, as the same. Vandaru Janavatsala. She showers her grace at all those who come to her. Seek her blessings, seek her feet, and seek solace in her. She gives Vatsalya to all those who come to her. She is Bhaktivat Kalpalatika. Kalpa Latika. Latika is a creeper and she is the Kalpa creeper. What is this Kalpa creeper? This particular creeper is supposed to be present in the Devaloka. And what does it do? If you have a Kalpaka Vriksha, the Kalpakam, which can be in the form of a tree or it can be in the form of a creeper, whatever, either it's a tree or a creeper, if you go to the Kalpakam and tell the Kalpakam whatever is your wish, the Kalpakam will immediately grant that wish. So she is here. Why do we need a Kalpaka Vriksha? We don't require a tree, we don't require a creeper, but then we have Ambal herself as the Kalpaka creeper. She is the Kalpalatika for all the Bhaktiman, for all those who show bhakti towards her. She is the Bhaktiman Kalpalatika, Pashu Pasha Vinashi, or she is the one who destroys the Pashu and the Pasha. What is this Pasha here? Pasha is that tie. Pasha will mean a rope or a noose. We are all tied to the materialistic world and that Pasha. And this Jiva is called a Pashu. So this Pashu, she will destroy the Pashu Tanmai or the Pashu tendency in us to be an ordinary Jiva. She will elevate this Jiva to godliness and she will also destroy those ties, those things which make us get tied into the materialistic world. And she is Sri Kanta Artha Sharini. Sri Kantan is the epithet given to Lord Shiva. Sri here will mean poison. Shri is a wonderful word. Sanskrit as a language has words which mean quite the opposite. Two things which will be diametrically opposite. When we say nyasam, on one side, nyasam is fixing something. That is why they say anganyasam in puja. But then when you say sannyasam, it is cutting. Fixing and cutting both mean or both indicated by the same term. Similarly, you have a term here, Sri, and Sri on one side will mean prosperity. So we say Mahalakshmi is Sri. On the other side, Sri will indicate poison. And when we say Sri Kantan, it only means that which has the poison in his throat. The poison throated or the Nilakanta. So when we say Sri Kanta, it means Shiva. Sri Kanta Artha Sharini. She is the half of that Sharira of Lord Shiva. Or she is the one who occupies the left side. She is the one who occupies the Vamabhaga. Nissima Mahima. Sima is limit. Sima is the boundary line. And Nissima Mahima, her glory is such that it has no limitations at all. She has no limitations, all beyond the limitations and all above. She is the one, and her Mahima or her glory is beyond limitations. And there are also other namas which talk about how to approach her. I will just give one example. Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Durlava. What does it mean? If only you try to look at her outside, try to do external rituals and try to get her by pomp and splendor, she would not be approachable. Durlava. It is not possible to get her out of pomp and splendor. All that is Bahirmukha. But then if you try to realize her, if you try to internalize and realize her, she is easily approachable. She would come to that devotee who tries to access her from internalization. Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Durlava. And there are any number of namas which talk of her as the Tripura or the Tripura Sundari. Tripura Sundari is a wonderful nama. What is Tripura? She is the Sundari or she is the goddess over the Tripura. What is this Tripura? Let's take an example. Let's say a small little girl who's around 10 years is learning music. When this little girl sings, what do we say? She is learning music. So here you have the little girl, entity number 1. She is learning, the process of learning, entity number 2. And what is she learning? She is learning music, entity number 3. Now let's say this girl keeps practicing more and more and more. Maybe when she is 20 years or 25 years, she and music are the same. Don't we say, when we listen to MS Subbalakshmi, we say, we just cannot separate music from MS Amma. So what now happens? Entity number 1, entity number 3, and the process of learning music, entity number 2, all 3 have merged. So this is the concept of Tripura. There are 3 different entities or 3 puras, and at some point all the 3 puras merge, and on top of the 3 puras or on top of the merger is Ambal. How does it relate to Ambal worship? Now I try to worship Ambal. You try to worship Ambal. So we have the worshipper, the one who is trying to worship. That is entity number 1. And who is being worshipped? Ambal, Parashakti. She is entity number 3. And connecting entity number 1 and entity number 3, you have the process of worship. We can relate the same to everything. The meditator, the one that is being meditated upon, and the process of meditation. So there are 3 entries. The knower or the seeker, the one who is trying to know something. The seeker, the knowledge which is being sought upon, and the process of acquiring the knowledge. So there are 3 entities. At some point of time, as this is repeatedly done, as someone who is practicing meditation keeps on meditating, at some point you find the 3 entities are not separate. They all have merged. The one who is seeking God, the one who is seeking goddess has merged into that godliness by means of the very same dhyan. So at this point, on top of the merger, on top of all the 3 entities which have merged together, Ambal sits there and reigns, and she is Tripura Sundari. So this way, we look at all the namas which talk about Ambal's glory, and as we keep chanting these namas, we reach a stage where we really feel her presence. And close to the end of these namas, the list of the 1,000, we find some of the namas which really give us the divine experience. Sri Chakraraja Nilaya. And where is she? She is residing on the Sri Chakra. Sri Chakra is the yantra. Yantra is only a kind of manifestation. We try to symbolically express, something which is abstract. We try to give it a kind of a figure. So Sri Chakra is the figure given for the dwelling place of Ambal. And where does Ambal dwell? Ambal dwells right inside the heart. So Sri Chakra is here, but then we try to give it a symbolic representation. Sri Chakra Raja Nilaya. She resides on the Sri Chakra. Srimat Tripura Sundari. So she is there when the seeker, the sought, and the process of search, all these are united. She is there as the Tripura Sundari. Sri Shiva. Who is she? She is Shiva. When we say Shiva, it means the masculine form. When we say Shiva, it means the feminine form. And who is this Shiva? I am drawn or reminded of Acharya Adi Shankara's statement. Acharya says, you know who Ambal is? Ambal is the I consciousness of Shiva. Let's think of it this way. The Lord. Who is this Lord? Who is this Almighty? He is omnipresent, omniscient, but then He is formless, He is colorless, He is orderless, He has no gunas, so we call Him the Nirguna Brahma, the absolute, the Nirguna. When we say Nirguna, it's completely abstract and we cannot give it a form or a shape. But then it's very difficult for the average mind to perceive or think of an abstract God. What now happens to make this average mind understand godliness? This absolute Almighty, who is a Nirguna Brahma, slowly converts himself into a form. How does that happen? Why does he want to do that? Why does he want a form to be manifest? He only wants to bestow his compassion on the jivas. Unless the jivas are created and made to go through the creation cycle, these jivas cannot escape from this netherworld and join him. So, he now assumes a kind of thinking. To start with, he is Nirguna. But then I have no other words to explain. For want of better terminology, I just say the Nirgunam is him. I'm wrong in saying him. Nirgunam cannot have him or her. But then I have no other terms. So I just say this Nirgunam is a him. And this Nirgunam is now trying to think. The first process is a thinking process. A thought has emerged. What would be the thought? Let's say this is an object and this object starts thinking. What will this object think? The first thought will be, okay, I need to do this. I will have to do this. I will have to look at this. So the first thought or the first consciousness will be the thinking of I. And that is what we say as consciousness itself. The Nirguna first develops a consciousness about himself. And the consciousness, the thought process of the consciousness comes out and takes a feminine form. So now we have a masculine form which is Shiva and a feminine form which is Shiva. And who is this feminine form? Who is this Shiva? She is the consciousness of Shiva. She is the consciousness of the masculine form. And that is why Adi Shankara says, she is Aho Purushika, Aham is I, and she is the Purushika or the manifestation of the Aham. So here the Sahasranamam says, she is Sri Shiva. She is the consciousness of Shiva or the Nirguna Brahma. The Nirguna Brahma has no consciousness, but when the Nirguna Brahma develops a consciousness, develops an energy, she is the manifestation of that consciousness and energy. And so she is called Sri Shiva. Shiva Shaktya Aikya Swarupini. So now she is called Shakti because she is the embodiment of energy. But then it is wrong to think Shiva and Shakti are separate. They are inseparable. They are the same. So she, for the sake of our understanding and for the sake of our perception, she has emerged out. Now it is like this, the father and the mother put together make the parenthood. And if the mother does something and the father does something, they divide. But if you take the whole family, it is the father and the mother put together. They complement one another. So here, potential energy in the form of Shiva and kinetic energy in the form of Shakti. Together, they make the Shiva Shakti Aikyam. So here is the 999th Nama, which says Shiva Shakti Aikya Swarupini Amma. I'm not looking at you as a separate entity. I know you have emerged out to grace me. You have emerged out as a feminine form to grace me. But then I look at you as that energy, which is the energy of Shiva. So I look at you as Shiva Shakti Aikya Swarupini. And then the 1000th Nama says, Lalitambika. If we try and relate the first and the 1000th Nama, the first Nama said, Mata. The mother could be anybody. She could be a queen. She could probably be a big officer. She could be, someone who's at the top of affairs, at the helm of affairs. She could be a big person. But then for the child, the mother is a mother. For the child, the mother is only a mother. She could be a sister to someone. She could be the wife to someone. She could be, the grandmother to someone else. And she could be the officer to someone else. She could be the boss to someone else. But all that set apart, the child feels, my mother. So the first Nama said, Amma, Mata. And then the 1000th Nama, what happens now? We tried recapping all her glory in different Namas. We tried telling different names. We tried assigning different names to her. But then, at the end of it, we find, Amma, it is not possible for us to give all your glory in words. All these words are insufficient. We know pretty well our language, our capacity to handle the language, our mastery over the language, for that matter, all the languages of the world are insufficient to tell your glory. So what do we do now? We just say, we know you came as Lalitambika, you manifested as Lalitambika. So we now are left with that choice. We just say Lalitambika. We tried telling all about your glory, and we have now realized it is not possible for our words to completely encapsulate all your glory. We know our words are failures. We are prepared to accept our failure, Amma, and then just say, fall at your feet and say, Lalitambika. What a wonderful string of 1000 names. And what a wonderful message that these names give us. Anyone who chants these names, we don't have to know the meanings of these names. Amma is Amma to us. Mata is Mata to us. And a mother always takes joy in whatever word the child utters. Many of us would have the experience that as children, we would have given some kind of a name. We would not have been in a position to pronounce a particular word. Every household has a separate dictionary. The child of the house would not be able to say a particular word. I know of a child who was not in a position to say Thayil. Thayil is curd. Thayil in Tamil means curd. But then, very many children will not be able to say Thayil. And the child says Tachimamu. And then we find every household, the Thayil sadam or the curd rice is only referred to as Tachimamu. And then the mother says Tachimamu. And she takes so much of pride in saying, my child said this. My child meant this. Similarly, Jagannatha, Lokamata will always take pride in us chanting her names, whichever way we chant, whichever way we pronounce, whichever way we tell her names. It is always a joy for her to hear her names being chanted, and it is multiple joy. It is bliss for us to chant her names. Let's chant and tell her, Amma, Mata, Lalitambika.